Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I very recently got a request to talk about my favorite books. And I think I have talked about some books I've read before, like maybe in a Q&A, but I don't think I've ever dedicated a video to it. So I figured, why not? I don't have that many physical copies of books, but I have a few, and then the rest I'm gonna try to pull up on my Goodreads and try to show you what they look like. The ring light might make it a little bit of a problem, but we will make do. So to start off, I'm gonna get some like very obvious classics out of the way, and not classics in like, not necessarily like in the classical literature sense, but just like, I mean, like kind of very popular favorites. So that would be like Harry Potter. I loved Harry Potter as a kid. I mean, I still love Harry Potter, but I read all the books as a kid, like voraciously. I've seen the movies a bunch of times. Not happy about the new series. Don't want it. But I don't have any physical copies of those. And one, because I just haven't really had physical books in a long time. I recently have gathered a few, but I'm an e-reader. I read on my phone or my tablet, so but I did used to have those as a kid. So Harry Potter. Oh, and I was gonna say, I'm not gonna repurchase them at this point, even though I am collecting books again, because I don't want to support J.K. Rowling. So if I ever did get them, it would have to be secondhand. Other big book series like The Hunger Games, I actually just reread those at the beginning of the year, and I just rewatched all the movies the other day. I'm a huge fan. Super excited for the new movie coming out at the end of the year. Maybe not the backstory I would have chosen to expand upon the universe with, but it looks amazing. The casting is amazing. So, super excited for that. And then, let's see what else. I announced you guys, sorry. I did read Twilight as a kid, as a teenager, but I wouldn't say they're my favorites. They're good if you revel in their badness instead of expecting them to be like amazing literature, which I don't really look for that when I'm reading anyways. I have no nonfiction books to recommend. No, and I don't read anything that I know has a sad ending. Like, I feel like life is dragging me down enough. If I'm gonna like be in escapism, I need it to be an escape from reality. So one classic that I do love and that I do have a copy of, even though it's a weird size, is this one. So Pride and Prejudice. I saw this on TikTok that someone had done this with like the movie still, and while and I think most book readers don't prefer movie covers, this one being art, like it's stunning, right? Like I wouldn't have cared if it was just this and like none of this. But I definitely did not pay attention to dimensions when I ordered it, so it's kind of like very tall and kind of a weird shape, but it is beautiful and I do love it. So yeah, it's kind of really small print on big pages, so it's a bit not ideal, but I don't care because salacious heroine Elizabeth Bennet as a delightful a creature as ever appeared in print. The romantic clash between the opinionated Elizabeth and her proud beau, Mr. Darcy, is a splendid performance of civilized sparring, and Jane Austen's radiant wit sparkles as her characters dance a delicate quadrille of flirtation and intrigue, making this book the most superb comedy of manners of Regency England. So yeah, if you've never seen the movie, watch it. The book is great. Obviously, the book's always better, but it is in like an older English style, so it could be a little confusing at first, but the movie's great, and it's very enemies to lovers if you're looking for a trope. But obviously, because it's like very like in the Regency times, it's not like slutty or anything. So yeah, Pride and Prejudice, a classic. Now, the next couple that I have to show you are all like they're gay, and there's like fantasy elements, 2, 3 out of the 4. I don't like seek out fantasy, but I do find that if it's like paranormal or fantasy that's written well, I tend to like it more than other books. But if it's not written well, then it can like really crash and burn, and then I hate it and I don't want it. So this first one is Wolfsong by T.J. Klune, and this is a series of 4. The Green Creek, what the fuck am I talking about? The Green Creek series. I'm actually rereading these right now. I'm on the 3rd book. I'm almost done with it. This request reminded me, to like look at my books, and then I was like, oh my god, I need to reread these. It's been a couple of years. So, I have 2 copies of this book. I have this print, which is the first like print that ever came out. It's the soft cover, and then I have, which I have shown on this channel in a different video, a hardcover with beautiful printed pages and lovely artwork, and it's signed by TJ. I love it, but I have it in the box that it came in still because I'm so worried about something happening to it. So yeah, this is obviously a wolf, like a shifter romance series, and I'll read you the back of this one. Ox was 12 when oh god, they say daddy a lot, and I don't know, like daddy and mommy make me cringe so bad, but I think it's a pretty normal word. Maybe it's just me. Ox was 12 when his daddy taught him a very valuable lesson. He said that Ox wasn't worth anything and people would never understand him. Then he left. Ox was 16 when he met the boy on the road, and the boy who talked and talked and the boy who talked and talked and talked. Ox found out later the boy hadn't spoken in almost 2 years before that day, and that the boy belonged to a family who had moved into the house at the end of the lane. Ox was 17 when he found out the boy's secret, and it painted the world around him in colors of red and orange and violet, of alpha and beta and omega. Ox was 23 when murder came to town and tore a hole in his head and heart. The boy chased after the monster with revenge in his blood-red eyes, leaving Ox behind to pick up the pieces. It's been 3 years since that fateful day, and the boy is back, except now he's a man, and Ox can no longer ignore the song that howls between them. So, I mean, I kind of feel like that gives away the plot a little bit. But, yeah, so the main character is Oxnard Matheson, Ox for short, and he lives with his mom after his dad abandons them at the very, very beginning of the book. And when he meets Joe is quite a bit younger, like 6 years younger than him, so Joe is a small child who's been through a lot, and his family moves back home to Green Creek to kind of help him get through the trauma said, in almost 2 years. And so Ox gets kind of pulled into their family of shifters. Obviously, they're shifters. And it says like alpha, beta, and omega, but it's not like, it's not the same kind of omegas in the sense that a lot of shifters take. Like, you just don't gonna have to read it, but it's not like that. And there's no like, I know that you guys might not know this, but in some shifter books, like, there's male pregnancies. There's not, that's not in here. So yeah, this is like an expansive family story. Obviously, every book, there's 4, is about a different main character and kind of their own internal struggles, the struggle of their would-be partner and the struggles of the Bennett pack as a whole. And I don't know, I'm obsessed with these. I love like found family and snark, very snarky and sarcastic, and some of the humor can be a little hit or miss, but I find that with most times that authors try to be humorous, it doesn't always land. But this is like tons of secondary characters that are lovable and really, you really care about them. They really add to the story. And yeah, so this is one that I'm obsessed with. I can hear my roommate coming downstairs. The next one is called Ravensong, then Heartsong, and then Brother Song. And they're all amazing. I'm gonna probably finish Heartsong and start Brother Song today. And for anyone that's curious, they are very lightly explicit, like 1 or 2 scenes a book, very minimal. They're very slow burns. The main characters are always being hard-headed, and it's very, very slow burn, very like up to here. Very slow. So I do love these. They're like, love them. And honestly, I've read a lot by DJ Clune, and he almost never misses for me anyways. Okay guys, I'm back. Looking very much the same, but a little more rumbled because it is now the middle of the night. I had to stop filming earlier because my roommates were getting up, and they just went to bed. It's like 10 o'clock or something. Let me see. So we're gonna try to finish this up. What I was gonna start talking about as he came down was this book. This is Wild Sky by Zaya Feli, or Feli, I'm not really sure. Like, obviously this cover is gorgeous, so stunning. You can see the dragon, so again, kind of, this is like a more of a high fantasy versus paranormal. It has a cool inner cover as well, and like any good and respectable high fantasy book, it also comes with a map, so you can see all the different countries and the layout. In the back as well, it has a glossary, so you know it's a pretty big book. It's a pretty hefty read. Let's see, 460 pages, and the font is not big, so it's a nice thick book to dive into, which I tend to prefer. Honestly, I feel like I get more emotionally connected to the characters that way, and so my enjoyment is obviously enhanced. it doesn't drag. Like, I'm comfortable with it being quite long. I'm gonna read you the back again, but like a lot of high fantasy books, these names, I don't know. In the glossary, I don't think it has pronunciation. I think it just has names and like, so you can keep track of the 1,000 characters they introduce. I don't think so. So yeah, if you've read this book and you pronounce them differently, great, because yeah, I don't know. It says Taran Darrica has been retired from the Valerius Skyguard for 4 years following the Battle of the Broken Wings that resulted in the death of his dragon. Now, all Taran wants to do is spend his days forgetting the past and gambling his way to an unsteady income. So when his old general from the Skyguard hunts Taran down to request his help with staving off the increasingly aggressive wild dragon population, Taran refuses. But a fire ruins his rented room and leaves him without a place to stay, and Taran finds himself on the road to Valerius after all. Taran is determined to stay as far away from dragons as he can get, but a starry-eyed young man from Shorani, land of the wild dragons, might just ruin his plans. This is a name, I'm not sure if it's like Kalai, Roani, I really don't know, has spent his life watching the stars, knowing he could never reach them. With his wild dragon arrow, he sets out for the city of Valerius in hope of building himself a better future than he could have stuck at the foot of the Calvisal dragon temples. But nobody told Kalai that only the Skyguard is allowed to own dragons, so when Arrow kills a guard in Kalai's defense, it looks like his adventure might be over before it can begin. A chance encounter at the old Valerius archive offers Kalai the future he'd been hoping for. In the span of a single day, he has a home, a job, and a purpose. In Valerius, something much bigger falls into his lap, along with a tall and striking Valerian man with a rather strange disposition. And then at the bottom it says, the mighty dragon sleeps for 1,000 years. She breathes fire and wakes her children. So yeah, I don't really, honestly, I don't really feel like that was a great blurb. Let's see. I'm gonna pull it up on Goodreads, because I think I wrote a review for this. Okay, I think I read this based off of like people that I'm friends with on there, like reading it and liking it or something, because it's the same blurb, and I just don't feel like I would have picked this based on the blurb. So let's see. I said, Wild Sky was gripping, beautiful, and heartbreaking. This is a long book, but it never read that way. I was hooked very early on and never found myself bored or skimming. The main relationship is a slow burn and is tender and sweet in its culmination. And then I put a couple of quotes, which I tend to do in reviews. I always like to put parts that really stood out to me in the review, as long as they're spoiler free. Then I said, the depictions of dragons is my favorite I've ever read. I could picture them effortlessly and was endeared to them instantly. Reading about the mistreatment and deaths of some of them was difficult. The bonds they share with their writers are so palpable and add an extra layer of love and devotion to the story. And then another quote, and I said, I truly love this book, but if I had to voice a criticism, it's that despite its length, we're still left with some unanswered questions in regards to the big bad. I'm not sure if there's going to be another book, but if there is, I would have rather dealt with an entirely new central conflict. It's truly not a big deal. I adored this regardless, and will read anything that follows, but I just thought it was worth mentioning. If you're a fan of historical romance, dragons, and hurt, comfort, slow burn relationships, then this would be a great book for you to give a try. So yeah, I know. That's what I thought about it. like black and white cover art. I don't know, I just really like it. I need to get the other ones, but I just kind of, I haven't bought any in a minute, but yeah. So again, this is an book. All of the ones I have like sitting right here are because I kind of fell when I first read like the first book I ever read, which I think I still have it on my Goodreads. Like, I don't know if you've ever read it, but like when you find a new like genre or category, you kind of like fall down a rabbit hole because it all feels like so new, and it adds like an extra layer of like, oh, this is like very interesting, exciting. So I've kind of like been in a rabbit hole of books just because you find so many new authors and like you really love their style, and you just like, it kind of spirals. So this is a shifter one as well, and the back is two men haunted by the same ghost, falling for the other man, and my marriage was never part of the plan. Then again, according to Nikolai, I am the other man, and human wedding vows don't apply, not to werewolves. Nikolai is a smug, arrogant alpha male stereotype, and I do mean alpha in the literal sense, but when the same people who killed my wife kidnapped my teenage daughter, he's my only chance at getting her back. The fact that Nikolai was my wife's rightful mate means that we share a mutual interest in bringing Ellie home, but I never could have imagined how he planned to do it. I will do anything to protect my daughter, even if it means becoming the plaything, or worse, of the man I loathe the most. And so, obviously from the blurb you see that like he has to kind of team up with his mortal enemy here to save his daughter. And this is written by Joel Abernathy, who is a trans author, which I think is awesome. Love to support the community. Let me see what I wrote. This is very enemies to lovers. This was in 2019 I wrote this review. So obviously as you get older and you read more, you get more scrutable, but this is what I thought at the time. I said, holy shit, I just adored the hell out of this book. Paranormal isn't my usual niche. It wasn't, but kind of it is now. Not really, but like kind of. But I dip my toe in every now and then, and I'm so glad I chose this one. I know the saying, but honestly it was the cover lust that just sucked me in. Told you. Enemies to lovers is a favorite trope of mine, and this one struck all the right chords for me. Both main characters were obstinate and grumpy, but I was living for it. Also, the secondary characters were great. I loved reading about Andre, and hope we'll get to hear more about him in the upcoming books, which we did. Got his own book. I was also super ecstatic about the inclusion of a trans character in such a casual way. Like, it wasn't meant, or wasn't the be-all, end-all of her character, just another facet of what made her whole. Overall, this book had me cackling aloud, smiling like a loon, and even tearing up. It had a ton of heart. All the stars, honestly. Super excited to continue this series, especially since the next one comes out on my birthday. So, let's see the next ones in the series. The next one is Bleed. I'll show you the cover if I can. I feel like the ring light's gonna get in the way, but like that, there you go. It's an anatomical art. I loved Bleed as well. A little bit more angsty, but it was still really good. And then Shift, which is the last book. Looks like that. So again, kind of gothic and creepy covers, but I really liked them. The third one was my least favorite out of the bunch, but I did still really love it. I feel like it's a solid trilogy. So yeah, Exhale. Like I said, this is very enemies to lovers, and I mean like fighting, degrading each other type-ish. Not just like, oh, you kind of get on my nerves. But it was great. I loved it. at least what I've logged on my Goodreads, I've read it 3 times. Sometimes I do read things and not log them though. It just depends. Okay. And then the last book that I have a physical copy of, I know I wrote a review for this one too, so let me just go ahead and fucking pull it up. This book like blew up, so it's one that you potentially may have heard of. And the movie's already made. It comes out in August, which is exciting. You don't get a lot of gay, like rom-com-y style movies. They're usually kind of all like coming of age, sad, or like Barry or gay type movies. So this is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. And I unfortunately have the cover that has this stupid, like, I hate that. But yeah, let's see, Alex and Henry on the front here. This is basically about the first son, so the son of the President of the United States, who's a woman, and a prince in England, who, again, are very enemies to lovers, and they get into a little bit of a snafu at a political gathering, and it's like bad press for everybody, and so then they're kind of forced into pretending to be friends to calm public attentions, and as they're doing those kind of things together, they fall in love, and blah blah blah. What begins at first as a fake Instagrammable friendship grows deeper and more dangerous than either Alex or Henry could have imagined. Soon, Alex finds himself hurtling into a secret romance with a surprisingly unstuffy Henry that could derail the presidential campaign and upend 2 nations. So, this is just fun. I don't think it's groundbreaking, which I haven't recommended any groundbreaking books to you guys, but I think this has gotten super popular, so there's a lot, like with anything that gets really popular, like naysayers. I really liked it. I don't know. Again, I haven't read it in a while. I plan on rereading it probably in the next week or 2 in preparation for the book, because it has been so long since I read it. Let's see, I read it when it came out in 2019, or when I got the ARC, because I actually had an ARC for it. And then I read it in November of 2020, and I haven't read it since then, so yeah, I'm coming up on 3 years. I'm hard pressed to remember, but I did write a raving review, so here we go. I said, I started with a quote, so let's see, I said, it's unpredictable, and it's intoxicating, and it's fun, because Alex has never met a challenge he didn't love, and Henry has a challenge, head to toe, beginning to end. So that's the quote I started with, and I said, I loved this. It was steam light, which usually isn't my thing, but the main character connection was so palpable that it really didn't take anything away to not get all the nitty gritty, which is true. This was very fade to black, and I actually saw some people calling this steamy. It is not, it's fade to black, like what? The author has perfected the slam me against the wall, I have to have you now trope, and I was living for it. Another huge plus for me is good secondary characters, and this story has that in spades. All hilarious and very well developed. Banter for days, I'm a sucker for sarcasm, and Alex was a perfect cocky, sarcastic angel. And Henry, sweet Henry, he was such a beacon of light and love. I literally melted right along with him every time Alex called him baby. Gross. These 2 fought long and hard for their happy ending, and I couldn't have rooted for them harder. I never really wanted their story to end, and I'd love to see more from them down the line. And then another quote, it says, you and me in history, remember, we're just gonna fucking fight because you're okay. I'm never gonna love anybody in the world like I love you. So yeah, obviously in 2019, this really struck a chord with me. Again, I'm older, I've read more books, I'm more cynical, I maybe wouldn't rave that much now, but I do remember really enjoying it, and I'm super excited for the movie. I don't know how well it's gonna actually do. It's Amazon's developing it, but we'll see. I hope they don't totally screw the pooch. So yeah, that's the last physical book. Let me go to my best of the best shelf. Just run you guys through a few more. Let's see. Oh yes, this is like one of my numero unos. Like, I've read this book so many times. I have 4 sessions listed on my Goodreads, but I know I've read it more than that. And that is Heated Rivalry by Rachel Reed. I don't like this cover. I'm not even gonna show it. It's just 2 fucking half-naked people, which is so corny. I don't like it when authors do that. Just like the chest of men. Can we not? But I know in my phone, which means it's on my iPad as well, I have, there it is. Someone designed or did like fan art of the couple. So I'm just gonna show you that because that's what I wish the book looks like instead. So this would be Ilya, or Ilya, I'm not really sure, I think it's Ilya, and Shane from Heated Rivalry, hockey romance, again, enemies to lovers, because that's my jam. I like fighting and hating, and this is actually enemies while lovers. Like, even once they start hooking up, they still kind of hate each other. So yeah, these 2 are, they meet right when they're both rookies and they're starting their NHL careers, and they just have a contentious and antagonistic like rivalry throughout their careers, and they play for opposing teams, and so they see each other and they kind of hook up, and things just kind of develop from there. It's not like super plot heavy. I don't know, there's just something about it. If you read the reviews for it, like, it just has something in it that people like are obsessed with. It's the most popular book in the series, I think, even now. And last year, a sequel came out for them. It was great. Not as good as Heated Rivalry, but Rachel Reed is the author, and I really like her as well. But unfortunately, and I just read her new book that I got an ARC for, I compare everything she does to Shane and Ilya. Like, if it's not as good as Shane and Ilya, then I just and it never is, and I feel so bad. What is that? I was gonna read some of the quotes. Like, Ilya is like me. He's just like, I just love him so much. He's like, Ilya couldn't believe what he'd been reduced to. He was infatuated. It was disgusting. Ilya wanted to grab embers from the fire and smash them into his own eyes because he could not bear to look at this adorable, crinkled, happy face. And then Ilya kissed his dumb mouth and swallowed his stupid little sighs and felt his annoying fingers in his hair. He pulled back so he could look at his horrible face with its ridiculous freckles. Like, he's just so mad that he's fallen for this guy, and it's so funny. I love it. Yeah. So, okay. So that's one that I like highly recommend if you're into like hockey romance. I like this video so long. I should probably try to wrap it up. Another one of my favorite series, but it's really long. It's the Cut and Run series by Madeline Urban, these are kind of like out of circulation, so they're good though. Again, enemies to lovers. Two cops that get paired together, and yeah, it's like 9 books though about them. Like, it's crazy. I don't tend to like that many books about the same people because you usually get unnecessary drama. But I read these in the beginning of like discovering kind of male authors. So this is what the first one looks like. Not super exciting covers, but the books are great. And then if you're into like dark romance, like dark, there's 2 of them now, but I think there might be a 3rd one eventually. I didn't care for the 2nd one as much, but a lot of other people did. But this first one is called Call the Coroner, and it's by Avril Ashton. And I think she writes like regular male-female romance as well. This book, dark. Let's read the blurb. A clash of wills between predators. He's been living underground for a long time, but the only thing guaranteed to bring Daniel Nieto back to the surface is the identity of his wife's killer. With the whisper of one name, he puts it all on the line for vengeance. He's got plans for Stavros Constant. No, the title of monster fits too well for Stavros to want to be anything other than what he is. Time spent in Daniel Nieto's dungeon, chained and tortured, will never change that. Starved of food, sunlight, and freedom, he waits for an opening to turn the tables on the only man who's ever come close enough to scare him. Somewhere between the slide of knife against skin and the drip of blood on cold concrete, things change. Grief and hatred collide with lust and obsession. And this time Daniel and Stavros are on the same side. This time they're fighting a losing battle against a connection forged by much more than a love of violence and bloodshed. In a war this bloodied, what do you do when the bodies start hitting the floor? So yeah, this is one of these dudes killed the other dude's wife, and like, don't think that it didn't happen. It did. He did. And so the other one kidnaps him and is literally torturing him and beating the shit out of him, and it's very rough. And then somehow they fall in love, and then they're kind of like a horrible couple together. I don't know. It's been a while since I've read this one too, but yeah, I haven't read it since 2020. But I remember being like horrified, but in a good way. If you read, like I said, like really dark, taboo type romances ever, you probably won't scoff at it. I don't know. I don't read a lot of those. But I liked this one a lot. But it's definitely dark. And the second one was like straight up disgusting, the stuff they did. So yeah. But the first one's good. Call the Coroner by Avril Ashton. And lastly, let's see. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. Mariana Zapata. So before I kind of fell down this gay male rabbit hole, I obviously just read like normal stuff that girls or women or whatever read. And this one author, I really liked her. Her name was Mariana Zapata, and all the books I read by her were very slow burn. So like, if you're not into like the snailiest of burns, you might not like them. But if you do, and you like long books that like suck you in, she has good ones, and they're very popular, so you may have heard of them anyway. The first one I ever read was The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. Super good. Obviously I haven't read it in ages. She also, what the fuck was that, like a truck, wrote a soccer one, because the first one was football, American football, and then the soccer one is culty. I really liked that one as well. And one of the last ones I ever read by her, which I loved as well, was From Lukov with Love. And it was was a figure skating one, and I don't think culty. I can't remember if it's kind of enemies, but the other two I feel like are like enemies to lovers vibes. If I liked them that much, they probably were. So yeah, this video is gonna be so long. I'm just gonna stop. But yeah. So that's honestly, I read a ton. Not as much this year as I normally do, but I'll leave my Goodreads handle in the description if anyone's curious or like wants to add me on there. They can, and then they can see all of my sometimes cheesy, sometimes very brief, sometimes bitchy reviews about the stuff I read. Okay, so yeah,